Hi everybody, it's Bay here. I want to welcome you to our first episode of 3 Songs, a podcast, where we listen to artists talk about 3 songs and what it meant to them and just kind of see where it goes. I've never really done anything like this, but now that I'm started and I'm kind of putting these things together, I really enjoy it. I'm really excited about it. It really speaks to me. So I want to keep doing, put my energy to get as many of these out as I can. But it's appropriate for the first one. We have HvyMtlHpp talking about his 3 songs today. And any of you that know HvyMtlHpp from his online presence on sites like SoundCloud or Repost Exchange, and apparently he's on BandLab, know that he's an easy guy to love, and he's a great personality. So, and I think after this interview with him and talking about his 3 songs, he'll be even easier to love. So let's get started.
Well, this is one of those songs we were kind of discussing it earlier. Like, this was when I got that Korg D4, and basically this album kind of just sort of spawned out of nowhere, because originally it was a great practice tool for me, because you could get like a rhythm track going. So with this song in particular, it kind of was inspired by I'm trying to remember the song. 10 Years After song.
No, that's not 10 Years After. Sorry. Has nothing to do with the band whatsoever. Get your right, I got Zuba, baby. I got you.
That was one of the things I'd learned on the guitar. See, and I'd probably been playing guitar, maybe 4 or 5 years at this point. That song just kind of started off like I had that rhythm track playing, and I just practicing along with it, practicing my scales over it and this and that, and then eventually just kind of adding tracks to it. It developed into this song. And I had a few different rhythm tracks like that set up that I was doing these things to. And then by the end of it, I kind of started looking at all these bits and pieces of songs that I had. And then that's when I just kind of related the instrumentals just to times in my life. I just sort of picked the pieces out of there and just turned the tunes into just representing a piece of my life that I went through. So I believe this one, 10-Year Trip, that's the second song off of that instrumental autobiography. So that song represents back to when I was first getting into trouble, got diagnosed with manic depressive. I got put into a psych ward basically, and started my treatment, started my journey of trying to accept this disease that I've been diagnosed with, and what that's where the 10-year trip spawned. So that sort of represents from the ages of 14 to 24, and just the trials and tribulations. And even at the end of that song, you can hear like sirens coming to take me away and stuff. And because during that span, I was in and out of institutions and jails, and struggled with addiction too, because I was always trying to find my own way. Parents figured I needed doctors and medicine. But this song really brings me back to when I was just a young family man still in Edmonton. and just really trying to move forward from my past and just rebuild my life and just become a productive member of society and just stop trying to force things and do things my way and more so almost give in and go with the flow and just let things happen as opposed to trying to force things to happen.
Ever since I met you a long, long time ago, been trying to forget you, but I just can't let you go. You think you
Because the second song that I sent you, this sort of ties right into just right around the time when I was introduced to Band Lab through my son there, because he was making songs on there too. And then I thought, wow, like I should do this too. And I just fooling around with dogs and sounds and just throwing stuff down and just fooling around with some rhythms and stuff. And this one kind of started off, I think I was just working on a song, like there's that Godsmack song, Keep Away. And then there's the Filter song, Hey Man, Nice Shot.
Yeah.
And I just heard those or something, and I was just fooling around with this BandLab app, like pretty new to it, just recording straight, clean guitar into this thing, recording it, and then just going through all their little presets for different sounds and found some real chorusy, springy kind of effect. And then so just ended up just piecing all these little pieces together, coming from those two songs, and mashed it up into, and the song almost just created itself. But then I thought, well, geez, that almost sounds like I could just hear a song in there. And then that's when I came up with lyrics, because I almost just came up with the title of the song before the actual lyrics, just because of the mashing of those two songs, Keep Away and Hey Man, Nice Shot. So I just thought, Hey Man, Keep Away. And then I just was thinking about my past. So it ties into that 10-year trip where I kept trying different ways to get out of where I was, but continually kept failing or kept going back. It was almost like trying to get away from that start line and then always end up finding yourself right back there. So this song is pretty much represents a certain person in my life. Not necessarily an individual, but I do think of an individual in my life. It's that guy that was always just talking you into doing the wrong thing and making the wrong choice. I could actually relate it to an actual person in my life. So I'd get out of the hospital, for example, I'd get out of the hospital on a weekend pass, and this guy would want to hang out. He'd end up getting me in trouble, and then I'd end up back at the hospital again, and it just kept recycling with this guy. And it was just a point, in order for me to stop always going back to the start, I have to just leave this guy. Like he got to get out of my life. Hey Man, Keep Away. So
it's him.
It's just, yeah, so that's just, I just always relate that song. It's one of those songs that kind of just created itself. And then the lyrics were so easy to throw in there because I was just thinking about that specific individual, because there was probably like 3 or 4 specific cases where, I was, on the right path, getting better, and then he, talked me into doing acid again. And the next thing I'm out of control, and he's dropping me off at my parents' place. And here I am on my weekend pass, and it's still, I'm 5-6 hours into it, and my parents don't know what to do with me, and they're taking me back to the hospital again. And then that would just keep continuing, and then it's finally got to the point where it's, I have to, leave this guy behind. Or it's just stop repeating. The definition of insanity, doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah.
So this song basically is about stopping doing those same things over and over again, doing something different. You got to clean up your surroundings, like through my interactions with doctors and hospitals, psych wards and stuff too. And then there was also the addiction side of it and the 12-step program. So I've worked both of those things, and just in order to move forward, you do have to accept that, some ways just are never gonna work.
Never start the fire till you threw your sparks. You I don't desire. Fuck you and your remarks.
This one is Opinions. This was written way back in the Korg D4 days. But then I put it into BandLab, and Ice Pick added some drums to it. And plus I remastered it a bit through like their Cakewalk DAW, but it started off just as a song, just in regards to the whole conspiracy with Kurt Cobain.
Really?
I just noted, like with his suicide or was he murdered? And he just had a song, like an unpublished song that he played on the radio called Opinion, which was just a couple of verses. He's playing on a radio show, and I heard that, and that kind of inspired me. So this was the beginning of my inspired responses before I even knew they were inspired responses, and before I even really unleashed my alter ego, HvyMtlHpp. This song was just made out of respect for Kurt Cobain and his song Opinions, and then I just took it to a more sort of universal level in regards to what actually really happened. Nobody really knows. Only a couple people know the truth. Who really knows? And that's the whole thing about Opinions. Nobody really knows the truth. Like, we all have our different thoughts, different perspectives. Like, two different people could be looking at the same thing from a different mindset, different perspective, and see two entirely different things out of the exact same thing. So which one is real? It's real to both of them. Just touches on that, and then I just brought in the whole conspiracy thing too, because that was, I don't know how it was out in Germany at the time, but in Canada and the States here, North America, like it was a pretty big conspiracy theory because a lot of the die-hard Nirvana fans, they couldn't believe that he actually killed himself. And there, you know, there's documentaries and all kinds. Who really knows what really happened and stuff. So it was just me just sort of paying my respects to him and just finishing off his song. And this one too also has Ice Pick on the drums too, but the original was just, it was just me on the chord B4, just going track by track, like just first just played the rhythm right through, and then, you know, added the second guitar, added a bass, and then sang over top of that. So I basically just played the song through about four times. I think I had 4 tracks on it originally, and then 20 years later, threw it into, well, maybe not, maybe more like 15 years later, threw it into BandLab, gave it a little bit of a remastering there, got somebody to add some drums to it, and then that just revitalized the song and just brought it to a whole other level. It was just one of those things that almost forgotten about, just sitting on the back shelf there, and yeah, so it brought it back to life. And that was probably one of my first posts, like one of my first few posts on SoundCloud, and it's one of my more popular songs out there now. I never really expected it to go this far at all, but really it's just really the beginning.
Keep rocking and rolling.
Yeah, let's keep that rock going.
So that was the end of our first episode with Heavy Metal. I want to thank HvyMtlHpp for doing this and from being so open about talking to us about his struggles that he's had in his life. And it's really cool hearing about his songs and what they mean to him, and you kind of, I will always listen to them in a totally different way, which is one of the points of this podcast. A little bit of empathy goes a long way, especially in today's times. All right, so next month, whenever I get to it, we're going to have D.M. Williams talking about his 3 songs. He's a storyteller, so I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you'll be looking forward to that too. Okay, thanks again for listening. All right, bye.